I just parked my car up, and then the van come up behind me, flashed me, and they all jumped out, and then they took this girl. They said, "You've done good."
She was just walking home, a route she knew, a journey she'd taken before. But on that night, she never made it back. Welcome to the Deadly Diaries, where we dive into the darkest corners of true crime. Tonight, we travel to South London, where the sudden disappearance of 33-year-old Sarah Everard would spark fear, outrage, and a nationwide conversation about safety and trust. A trusted authority, a calculated betrayal, and a crime that would shake the public's faith in those sworn to protect them. This is the case of Sarah Everard, a story that began with a quiet walk home and ended as a defining moment in modern British history. Before her name made headlines, Sarah Everard was simply living her life. Born in 1987, she grew up in York, England, a bright, friendly child who would go on to study geography at Durham University. After graduating, she moved to London, building a career in marketing. At the time of her death, Sarah lived in the Brixton Hill area and worked as a marketing executive for a digital media agency. She was 33, known by friends and family as intelligent, kind, and full of warmth. She loved running. She loved being outdoors. And like so many others, she was carving out her future in one of the world's busiest cities. But on the night of March 3, 2021, that future was stolen. Sarah Everard visited a friend's home in the Clapham area of South London. Around 9 p.m, she left to walk back to her flat in Brixton Hill, a journey of just under an hour. CCTV cameras captured her along the route, walking under streetlights, wearing a green raincoat, white hat, and carrying her phone. At 9:28 p.m, she called her boyfriend, a short, casual conversation that ended at 9:38. That was the last time anyone heard from her. When Sarah failed to return home, her disappearance was quickly reported to police. By the following morning, friends, family, and local residents began searching the area, putting up missing posters and sharing appeals online. But what started as a missing person case would soon reveal something far more disturbing. From the moment Sarah Everard was reported missing, the Metropolitan Police launched an extensive search. Officers combed through CCTV footage, traced her phone data, and conducted house-to-house inquiries across Clapham and Brixton. Within days, detectives identified a key lead: surveillance footage showing a man interacting with Sarah near Poinders Road. That man was soon linked to a car, a hire vehicle, traced to a serving Metropolitan Police officer named Wayne Couzens. Couzens was not a stranger to law enforcement. Born in Dover, Kent in 1972, he attended Castlemount School before working as a mechanic in his family's garage. In 2002, he joined the Territorial Army as a private and later served as a volunteer special constable with Kent Police. By 2011, he had become an authorized firearms officer with the Civil Nuclear Constabulary, and in 2018, he transferred to London's Metropolitan Police. In early 2020, he joined the Parliamentary and Diplomatic Protection Branch, responsible for guarding government and diplomatic sites. On March 9th, just 6 days after Sarah disappeared, police arrested Couzens at his home in Kent. The following day, human remains were discovered in woodland in Ashford, Kent. Dental records confirmed they belonged to Sarah Everard. The case had shifted from a missing person investigation to a murder inquiry involving someone who was meant to uphold the law. What happened to Sarah? In the days after Wayne Couzens' arrest, investigators uncovered the chilling series of events that led to Sarah Everard's murder, a sequence that revealed calculated planning, abuse of power, and a shocking betrayal by a serving police officer. On February 28, 2021, Couzens booked a white Vauxhall Crossland from a car rental company in Dover. On the morning of March 3rd, he finished a 12-hour shift, guarding the US Embassy in London. He then travelled to Kent, picked up the rental car, and began aimlessly driving through West London, passing through Earl's Court, Battersea Bridge, and eventually arriving in Clapham. Meanwhile, at around 9 p.m., Sarah Everard left a friend's home on Leithwaite Road near Clapham Junction. She took her usual walking route along the South Circular Road, heading toward her flat in Brixton Hill. At 9:28 p.m., she was captured on a doorbell camera on Poinders Road. Just minutes later, dashcam footage from a passing police car recorded her again. At 9:34 p.m., Wayne Couzens stopped his rented vehicle on the pavement outside Poinders Court. He approached Sarah, showed his police warrant card, and placed her in handcuffs. He falsely claimed she had breached COVID-19 restrictions. Bus CCTV later confirmed what happened next. Footage showed Sarah beside the Vauxhall and then entering the vehicle. That was the last time she was seen alive. Couzens drove over 80 miles to Dover. By 11:43 p.m., he and Sarah had arrived. They then transferred to Couzens's personal car. Between 11:53 p.m. and 12:57 a.m., his phone connected to towers in the rural Shepherdswell area. It is believed that during this time, he raped Sarah Everard. By 2:34 a.m., Couzens was caught on CCTV buying drinks at a petrol station in Dover. Prosecutors later stated that he had likely strangled Sarah by that point, using his police duty belt as a ligature. He then drove to Hodes Wood, a secluded woodland near Ashford, where he owned a small plot of land. It was there that he left Sarah's body inside a discarded refrigerator hidden in the woods. Couzens returned the hire car at 8:26 a.m., then drove to Sandwich, Kent, where CCTV captured him disposing of Sarah's mobile phone in a watercourse. That same day, when Sarah failed to meet her boyfriend, she was reported missing. In the following days, Couzens told colleagues he was feeling stressed and asked to be relieved of firearms duty. 2 days later, on March 5th, Couzens returned to the site with a petrol can, purchased earlier that day, and set fire to her remains in an attempt to destroy evidence. 2 days later, on March 7th, he returned again, this time with builder's bags from a local B&Q, to move her remains into a nearby pond. On March 8th, Couzens reported himself unwell and handed in his police equipment, including his belt and handcuffs, the very tools he had used to abduct her. At 4:20 p.m. on March 10th, police officers searching Hodes Wood discovered human remains hidden inside a large builder's bag, just 100 meters from a plot of land owned by Wayne Couzens. The investigation widened quickly. In Dover, officers searched the grounds of a former body repair garage once owned by Couzens' family, located near the top of the White Cliffs. 2 days later, on March 12th, the remains found in the woods were formally identified as Sarah Everard through dental records. The crime stunned the nation, but what made it unbearable was who had committed it. On March 9, 2021, Wayne Couzens was arrested at his home in Deal, Kent, on suspicion of kidnapping. Police arrived around 5:45 p.m. and took him into custody just before 7:50 p.m. Roughly 40 minutes before his arrest, Couzens attempted to wipe data from his mobile phone. During his initial police interviews, Couzens denied knowing Sarah Everard, even after being shown her photograph. He then changed his story, claiming he had financial problems and had been paying for sex in Folkestone. He alleged that a group of Eastern European men had threatened his family and ordered him to deliver another girl after failing to pay a sex worker properly. This story, investigators would later confirm, was entirely false. The next day, March 10th, as police discovered human remains in Hodes Wood, Couzens was rearrested, this time on suspicion of murder. While in custody, Couzens sustained a head injury on March 11th, reportedly while alone in his cell. He was taken to hospital, returned to custody, and was briefly hospitalized again the following day after a second similar incident. On March 12th, the Crown Prosecution Service formally charged Couzens with the kidnapping and murder of Sarah Everard. He appeared in court the next day, March 13th, at Westminster Magistrates' Court, where he was remanded in custody. On March 16th, he appeared via video link from Belmarsh Prison at the Old Bailey. On June 8, 2021, Wayne Couzens appeared in court and pleaded guilty to the kidnap and rape of Sarah Everard. He also admitted responsibility for her death, but at that stage he did not enter a plea to the charge of murder pending psychiatric assessments. Just a month later, on July 9th, Cousins appeared again, this time via video link from Belmarsh prison. With his head bowed and hands trembling, he pleaded guilty to the murder of Sarah Everard. In the days following the plea, serious questions began to surface about missed warning signs. It emerged that Kent police had received a report back in 2015, 6 years before the murder, of a man in a car in Dover, naked from the waist down. The suspect was never properly identified, but later reviews suggested there may have been enough information to link the incident to Cousins, who was already a serving officer at the time. September 30th, 2021. In a courtroom filled with silence and disbelief, former Metropolitan Police Officer Wayne Cousins was sentenced to a whole life order, a punishment reserved for the most heinous of crimes. The judge made it clear Cousins had used his badge to hunt. That, above all, was what sealed his fate. He would die in prison. But the courtroom was only the beginning. After his sentencing, more disturbing details began to surface. Cousins had a long history of sexual predation, indecent exposure incidents in 2015, 2020, and just weeks before the murder. Most were never investigated. Some were dismissed. And all were missed by the very system that should have stopped him. The revelations shook the country. An independent inquiry led by Lady Eilish Angiolini laid it bare. He should never have been a police officer. The report detailed a pattern of ignored red flags, systemic vetting failures, and a police culture that allowed predators to wear the uniform without consequence. The public response was visceral. Women across the UK came forward with their own stories. Vigils turned into protests. The message was clear. We are not safe, not even from those who are supposed to protect us. Sarah Everard was more than a headline. She was a daughter, a friend, a talented young woman with her whole life ahead of her. Her story is a painful reminder of the dangers women face every day, even from those meant to protect us. Her death sparked a national reckoning, shining a harsh light on deep flaws within the police and society at large. But beyond the outrage and reform, Sarah's legacy is one of courage, of a community demanding change and refusing to stay silent. We remember Sarah not just for how she died, but for who she was. And in honoring her memory, we renew our commitment to a world where no one should fear the dark. Sarah Everard, remembered, mourned, and forever in our hearts. Thank you for joining us on this episode of The Deadly Diaries. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share to stay connected with stories that matter. And remember, if you or someone you know is in danger, please seek help. Until next time, stay safe, stay vigilant, and never stop asking why.